This is the first Berserker Khazan. So, this is the first Berserker Khazan. And I'm playing this mainly because I saw it within the demo. Typically I would be playing Bloodborne right now and straight to Warframe, but I saw this at the Game Awards 2024. Now, they didn't have a playable trailer with regards to you actually see the gameplay in the trailer. It was more CGI fest. So, guess what? To all those who say these people were going to delay this because they don't have a demo, they had the demo, and I guarantee they could have released that demo during the Game Awards. If we're in January, the Game Awards was in December, so they had this demo. They probably were waiting for it to be approved. That's the only thing I could possibly think of. Because if they had a full demo and they didn't present it in December, it had to be certain checks and boxes had to be accepted by PlayStation before it even got to them. So I would say it's their fault for taking so long, because they could have prevented just showing a trailer at the Game Awards. But at the same time, I kind of understand why now. I don't know if that's the main reason, but I kind of figured that's probably one of the main reasons, one of them. Or it could be something totally new, like they just didn't want to show it. They wanted to show it in January, keep everyone guessing, making them assume that this game was shit. And then, who knows, it may turn out to be better than a Souls game from software. I don't see how that could be possible. But if Khazan turns out to be, the demo turns out to be freaking ruthless, hard, bloody, hardcore. If this is anything like Sword of the Berserk with Griffiths, the original, I believe, PlayStation 1 game, where you just spin or use your sword and people just turn into huge pools of blood from just him chopping bodies up and shit, and bosses were super hard, there's no way this would fail if that's the case. If the difficulty is at from software level or Doom level, any of those two, Doom level from software level, any of those kind of combat, then this definitely is going to succeed. But you can only tell something by playing it, so I'm gonna go with new. I'm gonna shut up, and then if there's an animation, I'm gonna play the animation, and then just play the game without talking, unless this is a demo for me to actually see if the game is good. So I'll just comment on whether the game is good when I see it. Like certain things that are really good. Like if it's average at best, then maybe it was the reason why they didn't show the demo or playable trailer or any type of actually, gameplay at the Game Awards. Maybe that's the reason, or maybe that's not at all. But this anime art style reminds me of Code Vein, and if it's like Code Vein with regards to difficulty and Souls-like in anime form, then I'm definitely going to be down with it. But who knows, we'll see if this is a good game or not.
last. Your fate destroyed by one you trusted. A fallen star, torn from its orbit. You are the one we were waiting for.
So this is how a hero ends up.
You really think he's a traitor?
Shh. Quiet with that kind of talk.
Last, a physical form.
Okay.
Body, at last, a body.
Okay, so
We like.
okay, so from what I could tell, this spirit or this thing or whatever it is could have latched on to anyone, but it chose this character because of his suffering and his anger, I guess. So this spirit, whatever it is, specifically likes those, I can only assume, that are tormented or tortured, that have a certain amount of rage in themselves. Because it could have actually possessed any one of these guys, but it specifically chose him because he was betrayed and tortured. I wonder if he wasn't tortured and he didn't have rage, and if he wasn't strong, would the spirit have got into his body? Is the prerequisite for this thing to have possessed him has to do with strength, or has to do with just the nature of rage? And you don't have to be physically strong at all. It just has to be an amount of anger, regardless if you're a powerful person or not. So it starts off very much like Bloodborne. There's an introduction animation, and then you get to play the game at the start of the game. And unlike Bloodborne, you get start on top of a table after you sign a contract. Here you just start outside, and you could say he's kind of like shipwrecked, but not really, and the only survivor. So it's starting off him being in a place by himself. Very much Souls-like. I like the intro. That's a good intro.
What happened?
It's short and to the point. Short, sweet, and to the point. He got captured. Story of him being tortured.
What happened? Your body, it's ours. Mission requires it. Surrender. Surrender to us now. You hear us. Join us. Or get out.
No! Stop!
So this thing is obviously not good. So maybe it enjoys feeding on those who have anger. But maybe that's this thing's first mistake. That it possessed someone like probably Khazan, who's probably like a like a Vegeta type. Like it doesn't matter how much you try to manipulate him or how powerful you are, that his pride is probably more powerful than the thing itself.
Stop. You really want to die? Then embrace the energy of the blade if you want to live. Your body is fully healed. The power of death cannot claim you now. Do you feel it? The energy of the netherworld. That is what flows through you. Now, join with us.
I need to find a way out of here.
He didn't agree. He did not agree. And I kind of like this way of doing things. Like sometimes it's you get healed by a bonfire, or in Doom you find like locations or healing locations. Here it makes more sense because it's a force of nature or a force of a god literally putting up save point locations so you could heal yourself whenever you get to a point of either death or a checkpoint. So it makes more sense rather than when you're healing at a bonfire or something. You know, you get to the bonfire, then you turn on the bonfire, it heals based on the magic. Here is actually the entity itself that creates the checkpoints. Which means this is very much like a contract thing rather than the bonfire itself being part of the world. So he's literally leading Khazan or helping Khazan, but Khazan hasn't accepted to join him. Okay, just like Enotria. Let's see the movement. Movement is good. Character moves faster than a From Software character. At least in the form of the body, in his animation of the body. His attacks are fast. He has combos. If you keep pressing square. Okay. Triangle. Charge attack is the triangle. Square attack to swift attack. Okay. Okay, so I could keep spanning triangle to do potent blows. He has a stamina bar. Let's see if I could combine. Okay, so I can't combine. Let's see if I can combine a swift attack with a charge. Let's see if I can combine a potent blow with a charge. Okay, so for the charge, you can't do the potent blow first. You have to do the charge first, and then the potent blow. That's the only way the combo works. So, one. Yeah, so if I try to hold down the triangle button after the second blow, doesn't work. Or after the first blow, doesn't work. So even if you press the triangle once and then hold it down a second time, it will do nothing. So you would have to do the charge first and then follow up with the potent blow. Whereas with the quick attack, you could press the square button and then go for the charge, or go for the charge. Yeah. Okay. So maybe there is no potent blow mixed with a charge attack. It just operates that way because he still has stamina. But I could tell there is a combination between the square and then the potent blow. Oh, or maybe there isn't. 1, 2. Okay, so I'll go with that. I'll go with square and then potent and then charge attack, and no combos with potent blow. This potent blow just have its own personal combos by itself, and no affiliation with charge. All right, let's see. Is there a roll? There's a jump forward. There's no roll. Okay, so it's like Bloodborne. So maybe the people who made this game like Bloodborne, right, rather than Dark Souls, because in Dark Souls there's rolling. Well, actually, no, in Bloodborne there's rolling too. Okay, so this game has dodge. Okay. So he does dash forward for a dodge. He doesn't roll. He just dashes forward. Because he doesn't need to roll. He just like dodge. Alright, so let's see what else. Triangle does that. Square does that. Circle, what does circle do? Circle is probably for inspecting objects. And of course, the dodge is, yeah, the dodge is X. Yeah, very much like Revenant from the Ashes. If you press the button once, you do back jump. So, unlike a From Software game, you have to lock on in order to dodge. Here you just dodge because in this manner, because you just can. You don't need to lock on. It feels very much like Revenant dodging. I wonder if I go for one. Oh, okay. Let's see. Forward. Interesting. Okay, so the dash forward goes to a charge. The dash backwards also goes to a spin. Charge forward, spin. As back, spin. Back, heavy attack. Back, light attack. So whether it's forward dash triangle or forward dash square, it goes for a spin. Okay. Can I do a combo with that? No. It just goes for that. I guess you could say it is a combo, because if you dash forward and you go this, and then you press the regular combo, then you could do that. Okay. So you can mix and match. Alright. What else do I have? Do I have a menu? Yes, I do. Okay. So equipment is based on... Oh, I like that a lot. That's very good. Like the options button is to see stats, gear, and settings. Like that too. But your gear, to see what gear is, just you're using the center D-pad. That's so easy. That's so easy. And it tells you that it's equipped by having this little, looks like a little circular sign above it. Maybe that's just the animation. Yeah, this is so easy. This is one of this is a very good. It looks common as hell and about average at best, but it feels so smooth. You don't see rough edges around the line. Everything is opacity and low resolution, but you can still see it even if you have bad eyesight. So this is very good because this is highlighted. It tells you what's on because it has a higher highlight, and if it's off, it shows with nothing on there. And when you click on it, everything for helmet or armor, in this case, as a weapon is one thing. Weapon goes into its own bunch of different slots. That follows its own different cells, and armor goes into different armor type. You have head. Let's see if the armor for the head is top, gauntlet, legs. Okay, so if I hit armor for the legs, I could still go left and right to go for armor for heads. So I don't need to select each and every one in order to like go back and forth with each one. I could select one and then go to the gear and switch up for here. That's very good. So I don't have to keep constantly go back and forth out. Okay. Accessories. I really like this. It's very simple and easy to understand and easy to use. It's very, the spacing is good too. It doesn't look cluttered either. Everything seems to be spaced rather well. And then you have your stats, your health, your endurance and everything. That's spaced well too. So you can see everything there far away from each other so they don't look cluttered. That's good. Yeah, so the subtitles size is pretty good right now. Let's see what big will look like. If big is too big, I'll keep it there, and then when I'm done, subtitle opacity is fine. Also very good. Not many games have subtitle opacity. Like if you're in a situation, let's say if you're in a situation where you're in a situation, let's say there's a lot of blood in a scene, and there's a lot of greens and whites and reds, and your subtitle is white. It's going to be hard to actually see your subtitles amongst all those. I mean, white on red can be seen easy, but not so much on green, and not so much on white. Okay, so the game is not too complicated. Um, if it was complicated, it would have a very longer list than this. So it's a bit more complicated than say something like Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3. Um, I would say its settings with regards to games like Elden Ring or Doom 2016 is about around the same. Not so much Eternal. So it has enough settings for what it is, a single player game. Like if it was multiplayer, it would have a whole lot more settings. So this is satisfactory for what it is. Okay, so I exit out the game. Gonna go back, and I'll probably skip that scene again. Alright, so when you exit out and then you go back into the game, let's say you exit out and turn your game off, and then you turn it back on, there is an autosave, and the autosave saves it here. So the moment you interact with this is an autosave. I don't believe it will autosave you at your present location unless you're at that bonfire. So, or in this case, that little artifact. So if I turn it off here, well, it doesn't really matter, does it? Well, let's see if it does. I'm now here. I'm going to make a change in regards to setting, just for the sake of it. I'm going to decrease this. I'm going to leave. Actually, I'm going to make a bigger change. I don't see any blooms or glares or any of that stuff. Okay, so this will be changed. And I'll apply it, then I'll leave, then I'll exit. Now I'll see if it will stay there once I get back. Maybe I should just let this animation play at the beginning since I didn't have it in my video. Okay, so that happens. Apparently, he's slaying a lot of dragon men. Don't know how that has to do with him being in prison for treason. Because it doesn't look like the person who imprisoned him is a dragon man. Okay, so small tutorial. Every game has them. Okay. R1 does nothing. L1, L2 does nothing. R2 does nothing. Okay. So locking on is R3. Guarding is L1, which is very good. Because if I go like this, then let's see, it's pretty fast. Let's see how it works with triangle. Hit, the enemy sees me for an opening. That's pretty fast. So he has to complete the swing before he goes to the block. So I'm gonna press the block button as soon as he goes for the swing. Okay, so he has to complete the swing before he goes to the block. So there's a short animation to lead to the block. But it's like a millisecond. That's pretty fast. Yeah, that's pretty fast. That one's kind of slow. Because maybe there's cancel out combos. Okay, so you could go like this. If you don't finish the combo, the block is much faster, but if you finish the combo, you have to finish it. Interesting. Okay, so if I do the full combo, he blocks faster, but if I hold the block button while he's doing the combo, I'm going to block now, and I'm going to do the attack thereafter. It takes him much longer to do the block than if he was to do it, you were to do it independently without it. Yeah. So it's best to not hold the L1 button when you're doing the combos, because it takes longer for him to actually go to the block. Yeah. So never hold the block button while you're doing the combos. Always. Always press it afterwards.
Where is he?
Okay, so they're back attacks as well. And I think he dashed forward because I was too far from the enemy. So the game is friendly with regards to letting you, if the circle is present on the enemy when you're there, if you're a bit too far from them, he will dash forward, then he will do the execution. Because it knows you want to do it, and you can do it based on the command. It's just that you're probably too far away. So I like that too. Whereas in some games, if the command is there or if you're close, you could do it, but sometimes you can miss because your character is too far away. Oh, someone definitely loves Bloodborne. Someone definitely loves Bloodborne. Downward attacks by pressing the button. I missed it. Damn, that title came up like it's the name of the game. The game is called Hide Match. That's like the title for the description of a game. Like the game is called the First Berserker Khazan. But damn, that was like, not sure if that was the proper title to use. But it's definitely obvious. Like you cannot forget that where you are based on the title of the game. That was one big ass name size, font size. I like that too. Like if you do a huge charge attack on an enemy or a heavy attack, you can knock them off of their guard and they have to recover. That's why his went to circle. I think if I had just done this, it would just knock him off his guard rather than it going straight to circle for a visual attack. Or in this case, a brutal attack. So far the tutorial has been very helpful. It's a very helpful tutorial. If you don't understand the tutorial in this game, I don't know what to say to you. It's very easy. The buttons are kind of, you have to get used to because you typically, like, X button has always been red button, but dodge button has always been a different button when you're playing Souls games. But I do like it. Everything that has to do with the legs, with running, jumping, moving, is just one button. So they have multiple codes for using the leg. wonder if the kick an enemy is also leg as well. Or maybe a guard and then, or R1 and, I don't know. Netherworld energy. Okay, so the first thing I'll see that is bad about the game is that this font size with regards to the menu, with regards to accessories and everything when you're pressing to select and see those things are good, but the tutorial font size is quite small and hard to see. Not the bold font, but just the regular font themselves. They should have made the window much larger, and if it was too big, allow you to shrink down. Like just give one button in order to increase and decrease the size of the screen. One to a ridiculous high level, one to a small, or one to a medium, and one to a small. This is what I would call a small font size. So it's difficult to see even if I'm going up close. Like if I'm going up close, I can see it, but from a distance, like say where I am right now from my tube is a good 5 feet. I'm 5 feet. If we're putting feet over feet over feet, no, not even. I would say 1 foot in front of another is a good 7 feet. So I'm 7 feet away from my screen if I'm put 1 foot in front of the other. So 7, maybe I'm off. Maybe it's more than 7. Maybe it's 8, but it's not. It's definitely 7. If it's not 7, it's about 8. I'm about 8 feet away. 8 or 7 feet away if I'm putting 1 foot in front of the other. So for this size that someone's sitting 7 to about 8 feet away is small. So I would literally have to be 4 feet in front of my monitor in order to see this properly. Like it would literally have to be like in front of me, or like on a desktop or something for me to see it, everything accurately and perfectly. And about 3 feet away from me for it to still be visible. And about when it gets to about 6 or 7 feet, then it starts to become somewhat blurry. And about around 8 feet, you can't see it at all. So this is not the font size for someone sitting away from your screen. This has to be in front of you. So that's my first negative with regards to the game. Its tutorial font is small, even though its menu fonts are quite big and obvious, regardless of what distance you're at.
A lacrima, a tear, a soul. Accept it. It will give us strength. Now you too will hear the memories of the dead.
Okay, so a lacrima are memories of the dead. You can collect basically not their souls. You could collect their memories. Memories from dead people. So basically you're collecting death echoes, or resonance of death echoes, of not the ghosts themselves, but resonance or residues left from who they were. Let's say the ghost passed on, went to heaven or to hell. Whatever residue was left, like a scent molecules or something like that. Also, or sulfur if you're a demon, or or dust if you're an angel. That's what a lacrima is. Like ghosts typically, if you read about the lore of ghosts, there are different types of ghosts. There's regular ghosts present, poltergeists, and there's the poltergeists, um, which are considered uh, aggressive ghosts or charger ghosts. And then there are death echoes. So I believe there are 4 types of ghosts. There's regular ghosts that are physical present, standard, wary, undead people transition between life and death, in between. Then there's the poltergeists, the aggressive ones. Um, there's a specific name that they're called. I just forgot the name of the poltergeist type. It has a specific name. It's just eluding me. They typically leave like black ooze or green ooze. At least that's how lore goes. And then there's the death echoes, or echoes, as they're called them, which is you could physically see them sometimes, or you could just hear sounds or something, that presence of where they used to be, an item or residue of who they used to be. They're not really there. The ghost isn't there. It's just an echo of their present. So there's like 4 different types of ghosts. The aggressive one, the poltergeist, is I think they're called something. I just don't remember their name specifically. Okay, I need 1,280 to upgrade. Actually, no, I have 1,280, I believe. I don't need 400 to upgrade of Alacrima. Or Alacrina, not Alacrima. Or Alacrina. So since all this goes up, I'm going to select that. And since it could go up one more time, I'm going to pick strength. And strength, stamina goes up in strength, which makes sense because the stronger you are, it means obviously if you're able to curl more or curl a heavier weight, which you couldn't have done before, it means not only is your muscle strong when it came to Souls games, your stamina should be in conjunction with your strength. They shouldn't be separate. What I don't understand, that's one of the things I don't understand in certain Souls games, why stamina is always separate from strength. The stronger you are, the obviously you have more stamina because you could lift something which will require you to have more stamina in order to lift it. Like a lot of people say that's not true. If a person is fat and they could lift a 50-pound weight, the stamina only depends on how many times you could lift that 50-pound weight. But if he can lift a 50-pound weight at all from the floor because he has no strength, his stamina would be the substitute for strength. So he would be straining and his stamina would be carrying him in order to lift it, to sustain him. So he will eventually lift it if he have enough endurance in this situation. So it really is not really stamina, it's more like endurance. So it's more like endurance. So yeah, it makes sense in Souls game now I think about it. Endurance and strength should be something that in conjunction to each other. If you don't have a lot of strength, you should have enough endurance and can't pull it. So they are connected to each other in some way. I never understand why in certain games endurance and strength are separate. They're two separate things, but logically in reality they are joined together. If I had no strength, my endurance will allow me to endure and hold on to something and to resist something or to pull something, and eventually that thing will move simply because I endured having it or touching it or moving it. Even if I lack the strength in order to move it, it will eventually move if I can endure applying pressure to it over time more than someone who it does have strength. So all creatures have strength anyway. It's just the endurance allow you to do more of that thing. So they are connected because everything has strength. From a spider to a rabbit, the endurance will just allow you to do more of it. So they are very much connected. $9,747. Okay, so I'm pretty sure there's fall damage, and you can probably fall to your death.
I can't die. I need to see my daughter.
Shock resistance. Okay, so when something is equipped, it has like that little feather in the side. If not a feather, it's like a rope. That's how you know it's equipped. So it's not the circle thing. It's more like a little rope. That works. Keep forgetting the wrong button. Okay. I'm still getting used to the controllers. I keep thinking I'm playing a different game. I keep forgetting that square and triangle are the attack buttons. Takes a bit of getting used to. Yeah, I like it. It's definitely not easy, but it's all about getting used to handling. See, that was much faster. Just getting used to controllers, see how they work. Yeah, it's definitely about getting used to the controllers, because it's telling you to do the charge attack for big boys, but charge attack takes a lot of stamina, so you can't fully do the charge attack. Yep, and there's a stun effect. So that's this game's unique mechanic. It has a stun effect. If you take too much damage, you... Not a good run, but don't really care. It's about getting used to the controller. I took damage that time. Strange. What? Alacria what? It says something about Alacria. I'm supposed to do something with it. I wonder if there's other stuff I'm supposed to be doing. That I just don't know yet. Maybe it did tell me something, but I wasn't paying attention. I wonder what's up here. Can't see. Oh, there is someone up here. Yeah. I like the fact that you could, like mini bosses, you could like just run away from. Like you don't have to fight them. That's pretty cool. Let's see what's up here. Okay. The thing with the charge attack is it takes so long to do. So I think I should just do potent hits rather than charge. Okay, I think I know how to beat him. Wait for his charge, dodge to the side, and then just hit him with heavies. Don't use any light attacks. So the game is definitely not easy. There is a learning curve. Whoa, what the hell? The lock-on didn't work there just now. Okay, so dodge, you go for heavy. So that's how you beat him. Yeah. You just have to wait for the right opportunity. I will say though, he's definitely harder than that intro boss in Elden Ring, in that boss room. Well, maybe he's about the same. I don't know. He just felt like understanding he had more health. Or maybe it's because he moved faster. I think because he moved faster. And he did more combos, he felt harder. But he really wasn't. Mana lantern. I turned it off. It's on. Okay. So it does feel like Nero. I mean, not Nero, Neo. Like a lesser version of Neo, but a stronger version of Dark Souls. Like if you were to play Dark Souls 1 or 2, its intro is much harder than Dark Souls 1 and 2. In fact, I think its intro is maybe might be the same. Now I think about it. Because Dark Souls, I mean Bloodborne's intro was that wolf, the werewolf. And you weren't supposed to be him though. He was designed by default to not win. Yeah. But I slayed that big guy, so this time I'll just run by him. Okay. All those arrows do a lot of damage. Okay, so the game, when you're opening chests, doesn't allow, there's no interruptions with regards to you opening a chest and taking stuff out of a chest. So you have to wait till the enemy's not there. Interesting. So the enemies, they work together. Because he didn't attack until I attacked. And so is the arrow guy. The arrow guy didn't attack until, I mean, he was attacking, but when he saw an opening, he starts to attack. He started to attack as well. Nothing is here. I think I opened this already. Came in this way. So the AI is, the software is kind of competent enough. It's not like they're complete idiots. And of course it's the beginning level, so they're not going to have like the strongest prowess with regards to knowing when to block and dodge. And they will gang up on you, which is also good. Makes sense. I'm actually having fun. I thought it would suck. Of course, I'm very interested in Onimusha. Last time I played Onimusha was Onimusha 2. No, Onimusha 3. Demon Souls. How do I remember the name? The full name? It's because it was one of the most badass games back in the days. Until, like, the Dark Souls came along. Like, Onimusha came way before Dark Souls, and there weren't games like that until, you know, Dark Souls came out with more higher difficulty type bosses. Before then, it was Onimusha, and before that, it was Doom. I don't think there was a sword and shield type game that was to the difficulty rating of Onimusha back when it first came out. Of course, there were the Call of Duties, and there was Medal of Honors, and then there was World of Warcraft. But those things were typically strategy based, not really like 3D model character, Resident Evil style running through an area with a sword. So, in many ways, the From Software Dark Souls type games, they owe like many of their creativity to Onimusha. Because before Onimusha, many like Sword and Shield games weren't that good. They were average at best. And then when Onimusha came out, that's when things started to really become like an action RPG, hack and slash. Because I believe Tenchu was pretty good too, but that was more stealthy. And every other game before that was more beat 'em up type hacking slash rather than 3D model. I think Zelda was kind of like that, but Zelda was more like for kids back in the days, whereas more like for everyone now. So Onimusha really was the shit back in the days, like seriously the shit. What's weird about this game, I will say, is when you die, you seem to lose your Lacrina, like permanently. So it's not like you could go back and pick it up if it drops, because this isn't a Souls game. When you lose it, and it's gone. So you got to make sure you don't die. Otherwise, you have to get it all over again. Don't know if that's a good thing, and don't really know if that's true or not. So I'm going to start. Whenever I die, I'll look at my original Lacrina before I fight a boss, and I'll see if I still retain them upon death or they're completely gone. Because if they're completely gone, then you waste a lot of time farming for them, and then all of a sudden you die from falling off a hill or something like that. You gotta start all over again, and you can't go back and get the thing that you lost at a location. That might not be a good idea at all. As a game, that might be the breaking point for certain people, where they waste a lot of time farming, so they can't do it again, unless the saving grace is this: the Lacrina locations are short. They're not far. Because if the Lacrina locations are short, then you don't have to worry about farming over and over again, because they're very close to each other. So that would make sense. So hopefully that's the case, because if they become far, like in Bloodborne, you know, a lantern is far from another lantern, that would be terrible, and this game will fail on that alone, because you'll be losing Lacrina and you can't go back and get it. But maybe you don't lose it, it goes directly to the Nexus point. If you die, whatever you collect goes to the Nexus point, so it doesn't fully lose. So who knows? Let's see. Start trying to understand the game. I collected a lot of... Let me see what the inventory says. I have 5,000 or something. 5,664. This is the inventory, and I have 5,664 maybe money. Maybe that's what that means. That's money. So it won't show you money because money is just something that automatically collects. So it doesn't matter how many times you die, you will always have the money. So the money is something that stays. You don't lose the money, but you do lose the lacrina. Okay. Ah, okay, I like the fact that the indication of a stronger gear is shown here with the little blue indicator at the bottom. It shows that it's stronger. So even if you have a ton of these within all these different cells, and you don't want to go through all of them, I believe the blue would represent that it's stronger, and standard would have no indication on them whatsoever at all. So this is just 1 point stronger than the other. Thus it means it's level up, high level. And lower level will simply be no indication whatsoever at all. This is regular 195. So this has no defense, but this one does have defense. This is lightweight gladiator leggings, and this is hound pants. This wears 4.1, and this is okay. So there's a weight inclusion in the game, which means they'll probably slow down my dodge. I got a new weapon. This is a stronger weapon of this by 8 points more. And I'm pretty sure later in the game I'll be able to increase my lacrinas past 3. So far, as base standard is 3. Probably for this demo, it will be 3. Encyclopedia. Okay, makes sense. Encyclopedia guide, encyclopedia for status effects, and encyclopedia for attributes. So this is the encyclopedia of First Berserker Khazan. So this is the encyclopedia of First Berserker Khazan, not the encyclopedia of guides, encyclopedia of stats effects or attributes. This is the total encyclopedia of everything. And I'm pretty sure there are going to be other later on in the game attachments with regards to attribute status effects and guides. Now, I believe in the Souls game, you could eat like souls in order to get more lacrina. I mean, more souls. Maybe it's the same thing here. Fire spirit fuel. This is for throwing. And this is gem. A small portion of gem can be sold. Okay. Temporary increased stamina. Restores turn. Okay. Heals damage when thrown. It's okay. It's a rock. Stone. Collections, materials, no materials yet. But these are all consumables. Except for this, the lantern, which is, I believe, is not something that is a consumable. It's permanent. You can turn it on and off. Okay, so I'm going to test the Lacrina on death. At the moment, I have a total of 640 Lacrinas. So if I die, I'll see if the Lacrinas are going to be lost. Will I have them? So far, I don't like this weapon. The axe is too short. It's way too short. I need like either a very fast long sword or a very heavy broadsword that has good reach. Or a spear. I need a dragon lance. If I'm fighting dragons in this game, I'm gonna need a dragon lance. A dragon slayer lance, specifically. So here's the thing why people would probably not like Khazan. It's because it's about Khazan, whereas in Souls game no one is identified. You're an unknown random player, and then you could choose to become whoever you want to be. So there is no protagonist. It's random. Here there is a protagonist. Okay. So we'll see what happens to those Lacrina. No Lacrinas. Okay. Now we'll go here. Okay. So that's what I thought. When you go back to your Nexus, whatever Lacrina, the Lacrina gets sent to the Nexus. So on you, you lose the Lacrina on you, but on death, whatever the thing is that came inside of you, it gave you power, takes those Lacrinas and put it in the Nexus. That's what it looks like to me, because personally on me I have none, but it's showing here that the Nexus might have it, if that's what it's telling me. So I can't use the station because I have none. So it was consumed by the Nexus, but I don't have it. So maybe I can recover it. Because I don't know how this would work for certain players. Would it piss them off? Like every time they die, they have to do something over and over again. They can't reclaim what they lost. I don't know how that will work. Nope, it's there. But it's there at the location where you fell. So how would that work? Okay, oh yeah. Okay, so it gives you time before the floor caves in. Okay, so that's good. I thought this would be one of those games where it's permanently gone. In that way, this game would be like a complete failure because nobody's going to keep repeating things over and over again. Okay, so it seems like the game does not have a map, which is fine, as long as it guides you in a direction that it's not all over the place. A direction that doesn't have to be linear, but at least will let you know, regardless of many forks that you could take, would lead to different locations where you could have different items. You could follow one path that leads to a different area, another path that leads to a different area. But generally speaking, if you're trying to follow the story's path, it should be a definitive thing to identify the different forks in the road. That's one of the bad things about the Souls games is that sometimes you could get lost and you just want to play the story. And they didn't fix that until, I think, until Elden Ring, to be honest with you. Either they fixed it in Sekiro or they fixed it in Elden Ring. It's one or the other. Okay, so I'm right. I'm right. The Lacrina locations aren't that far spread. So the game is more forgiving with regards to the distance of where you would die. So there's definitely a difficulty, but it's more forgiving with regards to location and length of one nexus point to another nexus point. It's definitely not that easy, because if it was that easy, we would have got more than just 3 Lacrinas, and those Lacrinas would heal you fully once you take one of them, rather than half heal you. And if I'm 100% sure, this is going to be a scaling game. Unlike Souls games, which aren't really like scaling in enemy difficulty, is more like the difficult enemies are here, 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 and here. And the easy enemies are here, 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 and some mixed in with difficult enemies. Because that's how Souls games work. They mix both difficult enemies with easy enemies, or some that are just difficult, they're by themselves. But there's no scaling. They're just either super strong or they're super weak. And you could choose to fight them or run away. Here I believe it might be scaling in regards to difficult enemies. And the only time levels scale in Souls games is when you beat an entire level, like an entire plains area is done, and thus the difficult for the next map or the next location, the difficulty of every enemy there, including the weaker ones, go up. Here I believe it just might be scaling per every location within, I mean not every location, scaling per every single tile set within a plains area of a location. Let's say the location is called Winterfeld. All of Winterfeld, run by the Starks. Different locations, or should I say different sections or plains area. Let's say there's a forest there, there's towns there, there's hills there, there's mountains there. Each of those different paths or those different locations within the land is part of the overall general area or general location. So you have area locations, and then you have the continent or the plains location, which is the entire map of that area. So that's probably what's going on here. The enemy scaling is going to be within each area of a general continent, rather than scaling with regards to getting from one continent to the next continent, as it is in Souls game. And that's another good example right there. You can't just swing wildly at the enemy. He will block most of your attacks. And if you wait for your enemy to make a decision, he's not going to necessarily, or whatever the bot is not necessarily going to attack you. He'll eventually attack, but he's not going to attack you right away. And when you do attack, let's say he's on the defense and you do attack, he does a counter before you actually attack. It's like when you're shooting a bullet at Gascoigne. While he's about to do a swing like this, you catch him in a visceral. So that's what the bots are doing here. So that's good. They're not randomly stupid bots. It does feel very different from Dark Souls, and at the same time it feels the same. Because I believe in Dark Souls you don't pick up armor or gear from dead enemies' bodies. I believe you have to find that stuff or buy that stuff after beating bosses or getting stuff out of chests. In Elden Ring, yeah, you could pick that up off bodies, but they didn't do that until Elden Ring. Everything before, where gears were typically purchased from vendors or found in chests. And oh, he's here. So I came back? Really? Oh, I did. Oh, there's no jump button. Okay. I was wondering why those two guys look familiar. So there's a fork in the road somewhere. This look like it. I will say this is not as it's not as cool as Code Vein is with regards to style and of combat. But not a lot of games are as cool as Code Vein when it comes to stylus combat. Other than maybe Doom, because even Dark Souls game, there's no real like style when you do combos. And I mean, the most stylish thing in their game is when you're doing certain effects on weapons. Like the weapon style is what makes Souls games fun. But what powers of the person's body and animation, I believe those are done better in like Doom and Code Vein, especially in Code Vein because Code Vein is sword and shields. The weapons in Code Vein and the powers in Code Vein are beyond Dark Souls games. They're pretty damn awesome. Some games within Dark Souls, their weapons are pretty damn good. Like the fire flails in Elden Ring are pretty damn good, and definitely Millennia's Blade is pretty cool. You won't find that in Code Vein, but there are certain weapons in Code Vein and powers in Code Vein that's simply a lot of games don't have, especially the size of the weapons. The size of the weapon you wield in Code Vein is greater than that of any Souls games. The weapons are like bigger than the character's body. It's pretty damn gnarly. Okay, so I'm here again. I wonder if it's just one big circle, because there's no map. Because I beat that mini boss, so maybe that's the end of the demo. And you're just supposed to run around. Doesn't seem to be right. You stuck there, buddy? That's a dead end. And this is a dead end. So I'm supposed to go back. That doesn't sound right. Oh, yeah, it wasn't right. I'm supposed to go here. Okay, so how do I do the false step again? It's definitely not L1. I think it might be triangle. Yeah. Okay. Yep, another anxiety game. Crossing platforms. Okay, I can't go that path. So I have to drop down there. Here, there's no path here either. So I have to drop down again. So there are Yetis in the game too. Oh, I have none. Willpower. Attack damage, your willpower. I think willpower will come in handy for when you really like need it, for when you're fighting an enemy that is just so hard that you cannot beat him without strong enough willpower. And willpower is constituted as health, attack damage, and stamina. Guard stamina. Okay, so only, yeah, that's what I thought. So your will to fight on, your will to continue is associated with guarding. Stamina and guarding in order to protect yourself. I would say it's less of a, well, that too, enduring will is also associated with health and I guess with damage attack as well. With guarding more than anything, guarding a stamina, because if I increase health or I increase strength here, it has nothing to do with guarding. Or if I increase endurance, also has nothing to do with guarding. Increase health has nothing to do with guarding. Increase proficiency, it has nothing to do with guarding. So your will to live means you would guard more, which requires you to have more stamina as well to guard more. So willpower might be the thing that you will need most towards the end of the game. Yeah, faster stamina recovery and guarding stamina. Damage, you decrease the damage you take. Interesting. So I'll do that. So far, I don't really think it was necessary for this guy Khazan to be called Khazan. He could have been a random guy. But there is a story attached to him, so it doesn't matter that his name is Khazan. The title of the game could have been called something else, and he just could have just happened to be the main character, Khazan. Title of the game didn't have to be him. But maybe that it is very important that the story is about Khazan, because maybe that's what it is. Maybe this is a story-based game. It's not just a game where you randomly select a character or select a path. Maybe there is a story path as well.
Here he is! Grab him!
Okay, so I guess I could stop a little and say the environment design of the game is good. So far the only minus thing I could have that's a bad thing with regards to the game is maybe the name of the game didn't need to be called Khazan. Khazan title of the character didn't need to be in the name of the game, but I'm not sure if the story is truly about Khazan because the only reason a person's name would be in the title is that there's a story surrounding that character specifically. So everything is about mainly about the character. So it had to be. It's like the book of Boba Fett or something, or the book of the Mandalorian or something, or the book of Luke Skywalker. The story will be completely about Luke Skywalker. So this is Kazan's story. So it has to be about Kazan. So unless if the game doesn't have things with regards to that, and then there really isn't a need to have his name in the title. But then again, if you had given the game a story and a lot of cutscenes, that would be a turn off for people. Some people just want to jump into the game. So I like that as well. So far there's only two real gripes with regard to that. One's the name and one is the text size with regards to the tutorial. It's a little bit too small. Not the bold text, but the regular text. So that's kind of off. Unless you're rocking it on a big screen, if you have a cell phone, you're going to screw up your eyes, like literally, if you're watching it from a cell phone, trying to read what it's saying. So it's bad. But so far, there's only two really bad things. There's no bugs. Um, like a little monkey got stuck on a curve, trying to attack, but I think that was just a glitch. That wasn't like a bug. So he just couldn't jump over because he's mechanically designed to jump at a certain height or to attack at a certain height based on where he's standing. Um, but if that was a bug, that was only the one bug I saw. Just one bug. So far there's only really two things, and that glitch didn't really do anything. Yeah, so far it's pretty damn good. In fact, that glitch might not have even been a glitch. I would say the game will be like around where for right now I would say the game is like in the high, if I'm really thinking about it. I have them kill him, then I fight him. Like starting from a base of 0 going up. With regards to the atmosphere of the game, both in color grading, texture and everything, I already give it a 1 for that alone because they did a good job. It looks very, very real. And the wind effects and stuff is pretty damn good too. Like in certain games, especially like games like Neverwinter, they are terrible at that stuff. Here it looks pretty damn good. Not so much the like intro animation of the snow, that was bad, but it's pretty good for where it is. So that's a 1 to get the game to about from 0 to about a 5. And then the other one is simply for options with regards to everything. The options are pretty smooth with regards to equipment, and it's quite easy to see and to understand as well. And there are other things, options as well. such as using physical attacks, combos, um, inventory items. They're simple to understand. R1, R2, rollovers, the cells, everything with regards to the options will get it up to about, a 6. So that's pretty damn good too. Of course, combat is pretty simple. It's pretty simple combos. Dodging is good, locking on is good. All that stuff is good. So, of course, you're dodging, locking on, swinging your weapons, combos, timing, parrying, counterattacking, moving speed, where you could move fast and then you could sprint. So all that stuff is good. I mean, you could do jump down attacks from above, and of course charge attacks as well. So all that deserves a 1 as well. All that works and is pretty damn cool, and it's good. So that would bring it up to about, I would say about the game's at a solid 7 right now. And then there's the issue with regards to the text, and not sure if the name of Khazan should be in Khazan, but that's no big deal. That doesn't affect the overall game, so technically there really is just one issue, and that's the text. But then that completely gets destroyed by the fact that the game gives you like lacrinas, and when you lose your lacrinas, the nexus point for which you could spawn on death from one nexus point to the other is not that bad or far away. So that's pretty damn good rather than having extremely far away. That's pretty damn decent. And how the game's set up, it's understanding of fight and willpower and different attributes with regards to the stats of your enemy swinging weapons is good as well. And also when you're doing your settings with regards to certain things being default performance and stuff, those were set pretty good and they're easy. You can increase your text size and all that. Yeah, but I already stated that was covered in the first one. So I would say right now I'm at a like 7.2 regards to the game. The text didn't take anything from me because there are tons of other things as well. So they managed to kill him. Oh, I'm gonna give it another point. The game for that as well. You could literally wait out a combat situation. You could join a combat when enemies are fighting each other, or you could lead an enemy to fall off a cliff if you box them in. So I'm gonna give the game another point for it. Now I'm at a 7.3 with regards to the game. So far it's going rather well. Your character isn't invincible. He could take lots of hits, and the enemy AI is not stupid, so I'll give it a point for that. So I'm at a 7.4 with regards to the things I've just said. And I believe there's a matter of the gear as well. How you see gear, how you can know what gear it looks like with regards to what's equipped and not what's equipped. One have like a blue icon at the bottom right, and one does not. So it simply tells you the type of gear you're wearing and how strong it is when you roll over it. So that's very simple. And then there's the encyclopedia that tells you everything you guide, everything you learn in the game so far is present there, so you can always go back to it. So if you're saying, well, I don't understand certain information in the game, the people who made the game didn't give me information with regards to the game, it's present there that you can view. You don't have to do it like from software. You have to go outside of the game and look it up online, because they were dumbasses and they weren't smart enough to like put it in the fucking game until like when Elden Ring came around. Then they start putting stuff in their games like more than a decade later, and then they decide to start putting something in. It was frustrating when I was playing that game because so many shit that they finally decide to get right that they should have gotten right from the very beginning. They decide to not do it because they claimed that it was they wanted to give player freedom of player experience. Like, what is freedom of player experience has to do with putting stats of what damage does and what damage doesn't do? What is fire? What is arcane? What is this? What does it do? Is it hard to describe what certain things, the basics of the game is? Is it that much of a problem to tell people, hey, this is what this does, this is what this doesn't do? And then thereafter they could figure out things for themselves. Like, they want to make a game that people could just play freely without anything teaching them how to do it. But the problem with that is, if that is a game that's meant for all players, then all players aren't all players. All players are randoms, and only few are experts and gamers. So randomization of players are typically split half and half or 60-40, which majority of people won't spend a lot of time trying to understand things. They will just play. And if you don't set it up the way that makes sense, they will think you're a dumbass for not doing so. So many random people who played Souls games returned the games back to the stores, not because they were frustrated that it got beaten by bosses, that certain things that should be commonplace in video games were never commonplace in their games, because they wanted people to be freely. And then they realized, if we want to keep making money, we have to like up our game and use our common sense. And so they decided to do it in Elden Ring because, one, it was an open world. So they couldn't do the bullshit they did in the previous games, because they have to explain certain things in the open world because it's an entire open world. So you have to make paths and you have to describe certain things. Otherwise, people will be lost because the world is all connected to each other, rather than you load into an area after you beat a boss. But like, so I always thought that, they were kind of dumb when it comes to that stuff. Like, why is it so hard to like, is it really that much of a hard thing to tell people where you're supposed to go after defeating Rom? Like, you have people running all over the damn place trying to figure out where you're supposed to go after beating Rom. And something that would take like 10 minutes would take someone like 30 minutes to figure it out.